Do you have that new army itch that just needs scratching but you can't afford the models or time? Have you ever wondered how to go about actually building an army from the ground up? Well, in From Grey to Greatness, I'm going to be doing exactly that. I'm starting with a completely blank slate, and I am going to take you along for the ride. There's nothing like that new army feeling. The opening of the boxes of models, the smell of the plastic sprue, the moment when you manage to grab that bargain on eBay, the countless hours and hours of building and painting and more building, and well, maybe not the last one, but you get the point. So why do we choose new armies? Well, as far as I can tell, I think it kind of comes down to 3 reasons. Firstly, you might very well be interested in the lore or the models. Certain factions might appeal to you, be it because you love space Vikings, so you love the space wolves, or maybe you just like elves in kind of fantasy, so you want to go Eldar. Generally, a faction speaks to someone, and that's quite often their first love. They might also just have beautiful models, and you really want that as a painting project. Secondly, you might want to choose an army because they're competitive. Obviously, Space Marines are doing pretty well at the moment, and I'm sure a lot of people are picking up Space Marines because they want to take the army to tournaments, they want to do well. Actually, that was the case with me and Genestealer Cult. When Genestealer Cult very first came out, I'd kind of heard that they had the potential to be really good, so I rushed out, I grabbed a load of acolytes and hybrids and all sorts, and I took that army and I painted them up quickly and I rushed off to tournaments with them. Unfortunately, they did not fit my playstyle and I did really poorly with them, and so in that regard it didn't actually work out for me. However, I did come up with my main army through playing Genestealer Cult against Necrons, and that's my third point. Maybe you choose an army because of the play style. And in terms of the Necrons, when I played against them with my Genestealer Cult, I realised that they covered all the bases and they did all the things that actually would be really interesting for me to play with. So therefore, the reason I collect Necrons and I have a big selection of that is because I really like that play style of that army. So very briefly about me. I, as a child, collected Space Wolves because I thought Space Vikings were really cool, and the lore and the fluff and the models really appealed to me. Since then, it's probably a bit less about that. I actually want to focus on armies that really suit me. I now know that I don't actually like Horde armies, that's really not my style, so therefore I want to go about picking an army that is probably more combat orientated, or one that just doesn't take forever to move and have lots of moving pieces. My main army is Necrons. I feel they cover all the bases. I used to run a vehicle list, but these days obviously they are a bit more combat orientated since the new codex. I've got the Custodes, who are very much a close combat army, and then I've got Sisters, a few Sisters, which is that mid-range style. So I know what I like. So when I'm going about picking a new army, I know already that something like Orcs is not going to appeal to me. Whilst thinking about it, I managed to narrow it down to 2 choices, and these 2 choices were Admech and Tau. So let's start with the Admech. I don't actually know much about their lore. It's not something that's ever really appealed to me. I do like their models though. They've got a wide selection. I think they have a really interesting aesthetic, and I think they would be good fun to paint, which is really important. That's another reason why Horde armies don't appeal to me, is I hate painting in bulk. Are they competitive? Absolutely. They're posting up some good results at the moment. They've obviously got a wide selection of units to choose from, and quite a lot of those are pretty effective, so I don't have any concerns about them being competitive. And then of course the main thing for me is their play style. I can build the lists in terms of quick fire, moving up the board, putting pressure on. I can build close combat stuff, I can build gun lines. There's a selection depending on what I want to choose, and that really appeals. In terms of Tau, I actually used to have some. I quite like their aesthetic. I think they would be good fun to paint. in terms of their play style, obviously they are generally known as a gun line, and that's actually not something I've really tried in Warhammer. I only started playing in 8th, but I've never actually tried that, and I think that would be really interesting to do. The big issue is, of course, that Tau are currently probably one of, if not the worst army in the game, and there isn't any sort of codex in sight at the moment. Now, that wouldn't be an issue for me. I mean, I played a whole ITC season with Necrons, and actually I did pretty well with them. The problem is, knowing what to invest in at this time, I think would be a big risk. I don't know whether, when the codex eventually comes out, Riptides will be a thing, whether Drone Spam will suddenly return, whether it will just be flood the board with Kroot, or Piranhas, who knows. And not knowing what sort of things could be used, I think would mean that it'd be quite a foolhardy expedition when you're trying to build an army from scratch and you're not wanting just to collect the whole army and everything involved with it because you're so passionate about it. If it's your main love, then of course that's the route you could go down, but for me that's not what this project is about. So based off everything I've just said, I have to make a decision, and Admech is going to be the army I'm going to be running in this project. I'm really excited. I think I've got a lot of potential, and I really hope you enjoy the processes that I will be going through. So, what exactly are those processes, and what can you expect from the rest of the videos? Well, first of all, obviously I had to choose the army, and I've now done that. I've explained my reasoning for that. What are the next steps? Well, I now need to go away and research the army. I need to start thinking about what sort of play style I want, what sort of units there must be, and of course the all-important decision, what colour scheme. In this series of videos you're going to see how I go about teaching myself about the army. You're going to see how I go about collecting, building, painting that army. You're going to see the shortcuts that could be involved, different approaches in how to try and get an army started and going as quickly as possible, because there are lots of ways of tackling that, and it does depend on you as a person, but I'm going to be doing it a certain way. Once that army force has built up, you're going to see me start to play test it. You're going to see how I go about tweaking my lists. And of course, eventually, you're going to see my tournament reports and me lifting a trophy for winning a massive great tournament, which is obviously going to happen in the year 2021. It's going to be a great ride. That's my prediction. I'm going to win a tournament with Admech by the end of 2021. You heard it here first. Yeah, feeling pretty confident. All that's left is for me to say goodbye. I've got some building and painting to do. I've got 5 Skitarii Vanguards from a Kill Team box, which can be my test scheme. And yeah, praise the Omnissiah. See you soon.